And now Governor Ron DeSantis throws his hat in the ring. Good morning, Boston. Okay, it's been building and building now for many months. This is it. There are many candidates now in the Republican primary contest. A lot of them. It's going to be a crowded field. But as the Trump campaign itself admits, what the polls clearly show is that President Trump, is way ahead of the pack. And there is now only one man that poses any kind of a possible challenge. And that, of course, is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. And he's been flirting with announcing a bid for President of the United States. Well, today at 6 p.m. Eastern, according to Fox, citing a source, actually several sources, within the DeSantis campaign, according now to other media outlets as well, tonight will be the night. He will go on Twitter in an interview with Elon Musk, and on Twitter, he will officially announce he is running for President of the United States. According to the polls, he is the only one. It's a long shot. He has a huge mountain to climb, but he is the only one with any kind of a realistic chance of defeating Trump in the Republican primary. If you just look at the poll numbers, DeSantis is well known. DeSantis has been a successful governor in Florida. I think there's no denying that. He's got a very strong economic record with standing up to woke ideology on crime, on issue after issue. DeSantis now, for the last 2 months, has been going around the country giving speeches. He's been to New Hampshire already twice. He's been to Iowa. He's been in other of these early key primary states, touting what he calls, quote unquote, the Florida blueprint, or the Florida model, saying, I can do for the United States what I've done in Florida. One of his big arguments that he's going to make, and you're going to see it tonight, and you're going to see it now for the rest of the entire primary, is DeSantis's argument is going to be, I'm electable, Trump isn't. In fact, according to multiple media accounts, he had a meeting with major donors last week. And in that phone call, according to what multiple media outlets have reported, DeSantis said to the donors, there are really now only 3 credible candidates to be president of the United States in 2024. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and me. And of the 3 of us, there's only 2 that are electable. This is the word that he used, electable. Biden and me. So the argument that he is going to be making is that with the indictment by Alvin Bragg, and by the way, now they've already set the court date, Trump will now stand trial for the Stormy Daniels hush payment in March of 2024, right in the middle of the Republican primary campaign, and as the trial goes on, just months before the November election. So clearly now they are weaponizing the judicial legal system to try to damage Trump as much as possible, to have this indictment hanging over his head, even while he's seeking the Republican nomination and he's trying to campaign. You now also have Jack Smith saying he will indict Trump. So now there are indictments lining up almost like planes at Logan Airport. Just one after another after another. So DeSantis is going to make the argument that Trump is in such legal jeopardy and that all of this, January 6th, his 4 years as president, the attacks on him from the media, now all of these indictments and looming indictments make him too toxic, too radioactive, too polarizing. This is going to be DeSantis' argument to be able to successfully win in a general election campaign. DeSantis will argue, I will give you many of Trump's policies without the baggage of Trump. I can win, he can't. This is going to be what he believes and his campaign believes is his ace in the hole. Now, there are several problems. Number one, the polls are not bearing that out yet. In fact, what the polls are now showing is that the most electable candidate right now in the United States is Donald J. Trump. I'm just stating the facts. For example, a recent poll by Harvard Harris poll shows Donald Trump trouncing Joe Biden by 7 percentage points. In terms of the Electoral College, it would be an absolute landslide. DeSantis and Biden are tied. In the average of Real Clear Politics, of all of their polls, Trump actually leads Biden, DeSantis and Biden tied. So, in any head-to-head matchups with Biden, Trump is doing better than DeSantis. More importantly, as far as DeSantis is concerned, he can't get to Biden unless he wins the GOP nomination. And there, he's got a very big problem. The latest morning consult polls. Listen now to this. Trump, 58% in a 2024 National Republican primary. He leads DeSantis by an incredible 38 percentage points. He's up 38 points. DeSantis is at 20. And after that, everybody else in single digits. Judas Mike Pence, 6%. Nikki Haley, 4%. Vivek Ramaswamy, 4%. Liz Cheney, who the hell would vote for that deranged warmonger? 2%. To me, I can't believe she's got 2. Tim Scott, 2. Greg Abbott, who hasn't thrown his hat in the ring, but his name is being mentioned, 1%. So what is clear is that if you look at the polls, forget having a lead. Trump has a chasm. Trump has a massive, massive advantage in terms of the polls, popularity, support, 38 percentage points. Now, that is, as I said, a massive, massive mountain for him to climb. DeSantis now has got money. He's raising money. Apparently, he's going to plan to raise even a lot more money. He says he can raise at least $100 to $150 million, which is nothing to laugh at, to sniff at. He's going to have a war chest. He is going to concentrate, he says, very heavily in the early states. His strategy is going to be bleed Trump in Ohio, bleed Trump in New Hampshire, and he believes he can take Trump in Florida, even though right now the polls show among Florida Republicans, Trump leads DeSantis. So, my question to you, and this is now the question in terms of any Republican right now on the planet. Can DeSantis mount an effective primary challenge to Trump? Can DeSantis beat Trump? Do you want DeSantis to be the nominee? Now, you know my feelings. Let me restate them very quickly, and then I want to open it up. 617-266-6868 is the number. I think DeSantis has been a remarkable governor. I think he's been a very good governor of Florida. Many Floridians have spoken to me. They don't like him. They love him. I think on many issues, he has been rock solid. However, I think this is not his time. It may be good for him to run. I'm not saying he shouldn't run. Anyone is free to run. And let's see him. Let's see him on a national campaign. Let's see how he takes the pressure and the beating from the Democrat media, from rivals, how he does on the debate stage. I think it'll be good for in terms of experience. But I believe his time, he's still young, he's 44 years old. I believe his time is 2028. I don't believe his time is now. To me, the man that is battle tested, that is ready on day one to deal with the economy, to deal with the border crisis, to deal with dismantling the deep state, to deal with Russia, to deal with China, to deal with Iran, to deal with all of these foreign policy crises, is Donald J. Trump. So I believe that DeSantis is running, but ultimately he will lose. We'll see. The wild card in all of this is, do they succeed in putting Trump behind bars? That is clearly now the Democrat strategy. If they put him in jail, then the only one left standing on the Republican side would be DeSantis. Ron DeSantis now enters the 2024 Republican primary race. He will announce it today. That's what everybody's reporting anyway. At 6 p.m. Eastern, he will do it on Twitter in an interview with Elon Musk. Now, to me, that's interesting, because it's almost like Elon is putting his imprimatur on DeSantis, or at least saying, I like him and everybody should consider him. So I think, DeSantis now, and also it's a bit unorthodox. He's not going to give a speech just yet. He wants to do it on Twitter, where he thinks he's going to have a lot of reach on social media. We'll see how this plays out. What is now clear is that Trump is spending money attacking DeSantis. And I think the reason why he's doing that is because Trump feels there's no one else that can pose any possible challenge to him. Now, he is way ahead, almost 40 points. It looks like he's going to win this thing and win it convincingly. However, there are two wild cards. Number one, the debates. I think everyone's going to now want to tune into the debates to see, A, how DeSantis does, and B, DeSantis versus Trump. Can DeSantis tag Trump? Can he start to take some of the oxygen out of the room and hurt Trump, bleed Trump? Will he attack Trump? How will he attack Trump? So I think we're going to see some fireworks, and that may change a little bit the trajectory of the race. The big wild card, as I mentioned, is, and I think this is why DeSantis is running, if Trump should fall, then DeSantis may be the only one left on the battlefield on the Republican side who can pick it up and win the nomination and maybe beat Biden head to head. Why? Because the Democrats now clearly have a strategy. They are going to keep indicting Trump. They're going to bury him under indictments in order to eventually put him behind bars. Listen now to, I can play so many cuts. Let me just play one. Sonny Hostin on The View, summing up what many liberals and liberal pundits are saying, that Trump's day of reckoning is coming. Roll cut 31, Mike.
But one other thing that we're not talking about enough, we know that Georgia is probably going to indict Donald Trump in August. We know that. We know that he's facing these New York cases. I think it's 34 misdemeanor counts. We know that the Justice Department is looking at him. I just can't imagine when it comes to 2024 that he's not either going to be in jail or on trial. So I think that's something that we need to continuously remember.
You remember, there is no law prohibiting him from running in jail.
And wearing an orange jumpsuit.
Wearing an orange jumpsuit.
I mean, this is political pornography. It really is. These people are sick. And you see the crowd. Put him in jail for what? For what? But anyway, let that go. They're foaming at the mouth to have him in an orange jumpsuit. Now, the problem is, and this is, I think, the one obstacle Trump faces in winning the Republican nomination. Look, I think he will win. I think this is a huge lead. I think he's become a very formidable debater. He showed in 2016 there were 17 candidates. He wiped out all 16. So and Trump has been elected. He's been president. He's got a very strong argument to make why he should be president again. But the one barrier, the one obstacle that he faces, and I think they're going to hammer him on this, is, well, how do we know you'll even be the nominee? They could have you behind bars. You could be standing trial for much of the campaign. You can't be on the campaign trail if you've got to be in the courtroom. And then more than that, the optics for independents, for swing voters, for moderates, this is going to be their line of attack. They're going to say, we're not going to vote for someone who could end up going to jail. Now, that's going to be the line of attack. We'll see. We know Chris Christie's going to use it. We know Mike Pence is going to use it. We know some of these rabid never Trumpers are going to use it. The question is, will DeSantis use it, and how effective will that be? Now, let me just play one more cut, and then I want to go right to the phone lines. I want you to listen now. This is a mega donor, a DeSantis mega donor, Hal Lambert on Fox. And DeSantis is going to have money. He's going to have a lot of money to run ads, to put together a ground game, to build up a staff, especially in these key early primary states. And listen now to the reasoning and the logic behind the DeSantis team. They believe their guy can win. Why? Roll cut 32A, Mike.
One, Donald Trump can only serve one term. He'll effectively be a lame duck almost on day one if he were to win. But I don't think he can win the general. That's the number two reason. I don't think he can win the general. There's states that matter, and we all know what those are. It's going to be things like Nevada and Arizona and Virginia, Wisconsin. I don't see Trump winning any of those states, and so we can't win if we don't win those states. And so also I think Governor DeSantis has just done an amazing job as governor. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that candidacy. It's time to move on to the next generation. And Governor DeSantis is a vision forward versus, hashing out things from the past.
Okay, so let me just lay it out there. I want to be fair. Because there are people who support DeSantis in the audience, including my wife. She wants DeSantis 1, Trump 2. You know me, I'm Trump 1, DeSantis 2. But to be fair, he's the visionary. He's the next generation. He's looking forward. Trump will be a one-term governor. A one-term president. To me, that's a positive. Then I know he'll dismantle the deep state. I know he's going to go for broke. I like it that he's only got one term. Then he's not worried about re-election. He's got 4 years, he's going to clean house. But their argument's going to be he can't get stuff done in Congress because everyone's already going to be thinking he's a lame duck. And that ultimately in Wisconsin, in Arizona, in Nevada, in Michigan, in these key states, DeSantis can win, Trump can't. Do you buy that argument? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, DeSantis versus Trump. DeSantis now will officially announce this evening at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's what everyone is reporting. On Twitter with Elon Musk. It will be a Q&A, an interview. DeSantis will announce officially, and now it is on. Trump is ahead by 38, almost 40 points. That is a huge, almost insurmountable lead. We shall see. So the question is I have for all of you. A, do you think DeSantis can beat Trump in a primary? Who will you support? Who do you support as things stand right now? I know after the debates, maybe people will change their mind, but as things stand right now, are you for Trump or are you for DeSantis? And can DeSantis win in a general election? His argument is going to be, you're going to hear it tonight, and you're going to hear it ad nauseum. He can win a general election against Biden. Trump can't. That Trump has too much baggage. Agree, disagree. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can also text us 70470, 70470. This is from 917. Jeff, what the Democrats are doing to Trump is anti-American. And DeSantis says nothing about our weaponized legal system. What will he say when they come for him? Well, I think Trump is going to use that. I think Trump is going to look at him and say, Ron, in 2028, when you decide to run a second time, you're going to get my treatment. And what are you going to say then? I think there's no question Trump is going to bring that up as well. 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Anthony in Middleton. Thanks for holding, Anthony, and welcome.
Jeff, this is all political drama, okay? Me and my crew have already established what's going to happen, and we figured this out 2 years ago. It's going to be a Trump presidency. It's going to be a DeSantis vice presidency. Trump's going to do 4 years, and DeSantis is going to get 8. We've got 12 years of conservatism coming up. All this other garbage, they can put Trump behind bars, and it's only going to increase his crowds. He could be having his campaigns from the jail cell, and the crowds will be huge because he's got so much support, it'll never be broken.
Anthony, you think, so DeSantis is basically running to be Trump's VP? That's what you think? Get him out there, some debates, get some experience, and then get some support, and then Trump will turn around and say, okay, I made a deal with Ron, and he and I are going to be the 1-2 punch?
Everybody on that stage is running for a cabinet position. Nobody's running against Trump. They're all running for cabinet positions. It's gonna be incredible, and it's the only thing that's keeping my hope alive. Because as far as I'm concerned, Trump is the only one with the cojones that can shut down that Ukraine war and clean the swamp. I love DeSantis. I'm going to Florida soon myself, but that man is still a little bit green, and I don't think he's got the cojones to go after the big boys like Trump would.
Anthony, thank you very much for that call. What you're saying, many in MAGA are saying as well. You have a lot of people who agree with you, Anthony. They like DeSantis a lot. Hell, many are moving to Florida. But Trump is the big dog. We need him now. Give DeSantis 4 more years of seasoning, and then he can take over. 617-266-6868 is the number. Larry in Leominster. Thanks for holding, Larry, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Can you define irony for me?
What you mean? Like what? Like what? You mean that DeSantis is running? Is that ironic?
No, before that, no. You got the 3 most nasty, vile women named Whoopi, Joy, and Sunny. Right? And it's what kills me is it's not just what they say. It's every audience is full of these clapping seals. Just clap it and just think everything they say is genius, pure genius. It's crazy.
Oh, I agree. No, I agree. Larry, I want to ask you this. This is the one. I agree with Anthony. Look, I think Trump can't be stopped. Trump is going to win. To me, it's like a runaway train. It's a freight train. What I'm worried about is putting him behind bars and indicting him. Do you think the Democrats can do that? Just bury him, indictment after indictment after indictment. And after a while, convince the American people, or enough of them, to say, the man's a criminal. You got Alvin Bragg, you've got Georgia, you're going to have Jack Smith, the special counsel, you've got Mar-a-Lago, January 6th, the documents, classified documents. In other words, can they damage him enough and put him behind bars to ultimately make him unelectable? Will it work? Can it work?
Irony, in my opinion. Excuse me. The government has played, cried wolf too many times. You know, they keep saying, well, Trump is evil, Trump is this, Trump is that. But a majority of the Americans, not all of them, but a good chunk of the majority of the Americans have had their eyes opened. You know, they're like, no, you guys lied at all this, and it's all coming out now. So how can we believe you when you put up, no pun intended, these trumped up charges? Now, as far as debating DeSantis goes, you know, he's got a tendency to get nasty, and I get that. And, you know, that is the power of debates, and the whole primary process is to knock the other guy out. If I was Trump, my first argument would be is, how can the American people trust you when you just broke your major promise to Florida when you said, elect me for another 4 years, I'm not going anywhere? That's number one.
Ooh, that's good.
Number two.
Larry, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, think about it. Remember how upset we were? Well, we knew it was coming, but with Elizabeth Warren, she ran the Senate saying, "Oh no, I'm gonna stay your senator for the next 6 years." And the very next year, what she do? She ran for president. You know, it's the flip flop. And you know, so what if they got a war chest? They put 167 million up against Trump last go round, and he stomped them all like a narc in a biker rally. They all got stomped by him. And as far as like these swing states, I'd give a great example to DeSantis. I said, so you're telling me, as popular as Carrie Lake was, and she still lost her home state for governor, you think you can go in there and win them over? Are you kidding? They're trying to say, well, Trump can't win these swing states, but DeSantis can. And he also should point out the hypocrisy of the January 6th, where DeSantis was saying, you know, running on January 6th and all this is bad. How does DeSantis, who's supposed to be for the people, justify all these people who've been rotting in prison over essentially misdemeanor trespass? You can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, Trump was evil on January 6th, but all those people were innocent that are languishing in jail. You got to pick one or the other. Everyone's a victim or no one's a victim.
Interesting. Larry, what's your prediction right now? You think Trump's got this in the bag? You think he's going to be the nominee?
Nelson Mandela, they put him in jail, and he still ended up being the president of Africa. You know, the people have had enough, especially with all these scandals coming out left and right. Forget what the Bidens are doing. People are really upset with the DOJ and the FBI and even in the CIA that's coming to surface of all the underhanded stuff they're doing to the American people. We turned a blind eye to the CIA when they kept going in there and screwing up other people's countries. But now we're realizing, we knew it all along, but the masses are starting to realize, hey, they're doing that to us.
Yeah, they're screwing up our country. Excellent. Larry, as always, really, really good call. Thank you, Larry. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can text us 70470, 70470. Okay, listen now to Brett Baier on Fox saying, look, you know, we all know Fox can't stand Trump. We all know they're in the tank against them. But even Brett Boring says he's got such a commanding lead, almost 40 points. It's almost unbridgeable for DeSantis. Something very dramatic needs to happen to shake up the Republican primary. Listen now to Brett Boring. Roll cut 31A. Mike.
He is overwhelmingly leading by, you know, as you pointed out, dozens of points in the latest polls. Every poll, not just one poll, every poll. So something has to change dramatically, to Carl's point. And there may be events that we don't know. There may be other legal challenges that he faces. There may be other things that happen. But there has to be a significant movement to change the dynamic. Right now, former President Trump controls the environment. He controls the base, and he controls the messaging.
I agree. I mean, I hate to say it. You know, even a stop clock is right twice a day. I hate to agree with, you know, that establishment hack on Fox, but yeah, it's true. I think Trump now controls the agenda. I think he's got the full support of the entire base or most of the base of the Republican Party. I think he's got now the sympathy of many independents, many swing voters. They clearly see he is the victim of a witch hunt. So, I mean, look, again, 9 months in politics, 6 months in politics is an eternity. So we're going to have debates in August. We're going to have more debates in the fall. We're going to have the primary begins early next year. Anything can happen. But as things stand right now, my money's on Trump. What say you? 617-266-6868. Barbara in Maryland. Thanks for holding, Barbara, and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call, and good
My
morning.
pleasure,
What a great show. What a great show.
Thank you, Barbara.
Yes, Anthony, the guy who's out there with his crew.
Yes.
Right on point. No need to repeat it because he nailed it. He nailed it. And I think it was Anthony who called. That one, the second guy who called, I think his name was Anthony.
No, it was Larry. Larry in Leominster.
Anthony. Yes. Well, I will remember those names because they are absolutely right. And I'll tell you what, there is another variable that I haven't heard yet, and that is Ron DeSantis is a part of the establishment. How can he assure us, that is us Trump voters, not just MAGA, because he's going to try to, get a part of that MAGA thing. But Trump voters, I would never trust Ron DeSantis to dismantle the deep state. He is not going into office. If he did get the nomination and if he did win, there's no way he's going to dismantle the FBI. He's going to be relying on the same people who got him in office if he wins. And those same people are the ones that are running the deep state right now. And he could never convince me otherwise. And a lot of us, I talk to Trump people. I got Trump shirts, all kind of stuff. I love him. I just love him. And he's going to win. He's going to win. They can throw the kitchen sink at him. They have thrown everything at this man imaginable. I mean, they brought out old people from 30 years ago, especially that woman who said that he was in the dressing room with her. That was bullcrap. What else can they do? I don't think
Barbara, look, you're touching on something I think very, very interesting, because if you look at Trump, as far as I'm concerned, he has all the right enemies. And one of the problems I have with DeSantis, again, look, if it's DeSantis versus Biden, I'm voting DeSantis all the way. To me, it's a no-brainer. But we're not talking about DeSantis versus Biden. We're talking DeSantis versus Trump. And the reason why I'm supporting Trump is I look at Trump, he's got all the right enemies. DeSantis, to me now, increasingly has all the wrong friends. And, I see Karl Rove lining up behind DeSantis now. I see Jeb Bush. I see the Bush clan. I look at some of these mega donors, and I think you're onto something. I think the Bush family wants to use DeSantis as retribution to bring down Trump. Look, they do bring a lot of power, clout with them, no question, connections, but a lot of those connections are with the deep state. And to me, if you're not ready to rip out the deep state root and branch, you're not going to save our country. And what I know about Trump, I go back to this again and again. He's a proven, known commodity. I know what we're going to get with Trump. $2 gallon gas, low inflation, energy independence, a secure border, a guy who's going to take the deep state on, stand up to China, who can work with Putin and work with other powers in Europe to end the war in Ukraine. So when I look at Trump, I'm like, he did it already. He can do it again. With DeSantis, there are just too many unknowns. Now, maybe 4 years, 2028, second term in Florida, or he's Trump's VP. That's a different story. But right now, I look at Trump, ready day one. I look at DeSantis. Now, I know my wife disagrees with me, but I look at DeSantis. There's just too many question marks. I mean, Barbara, am I wrong?
You're absolutely right. He's a rookie. Taking care of the state, he's done a great job down there in Florida. But I tell you what, there's something else that could happen between now and November 2024. What's China doing? What's Russia doing? What about Little Rocket Man? All these people that Trump, DeSantis doesn't know Ahmed in Afghanistan. Remember, Trump called him and said, I know your address. Not a hair to be harmed on any American's head. I will never forget that. And not one in the time that he was president, nothing happened to any American in Afghanistan. That means a lot to me. And it just shows the power of this man, the resolve that he has to get things done. I see Ron DeSantis as a good governor, but he's not ready for this job, not for the job that we need right now.
Right now. You summed up my feelings perfectly, Barbara. You summed up my feelings to a T. Barbara, thank you very, very much for that call. Now look, again, anything can happen. You've got debates. A year in politics, as they say, is an eternity. But, all I can do is today. I can't do tomorrow, next week, next month. So today he's announcing DeSantis. He's in officially as a candidate. It's on. And so I look at him, I look at Trump, and I'm just, giving you my honest take. I like DeSantis as a governor. I love Trump as a president. 617-266-6868. Bill in Sudbury. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Bill.
I kind of agree with you today. Take a step back and just think tactically for a minute. DeSantis' whole basis for his candidacy is that he's a winner. He wins. He's a winner. He's a winner. The problem with that is if he loses New Hampshire, that argument falls apart overnight. Whether Trump wins or somebody else, either way, his argument of I'm a winner falls apart overnight. And that's why in the end, I think he won't be much of a factor at all.
But Bill, to be fair to DeSantis, you've had many, for example, Trump lost Iowa to Ted Cruz, and then he went on eventually to win the nomination. In other words, just because you lose a primary or a caucus doesn't mean you lose the nomination. So I think DeSantis is not arguing he's going to win every primary. I think his argument is I can be competitive, win some, lose some in the early states, and as this thing drags on, I'm going to overtake Trump. I'm just giving you his argument, knock him out, and I'm the guy that can beat Biden one-on-one. In fact, Bill, let me ask you, as a liberal, in all honesty, you're a Biden backer. Who do you fear most, or who do you think your friends fear more, DeSantis or Trump? In a general election, 2024, head-to-head, who do you think has a better shot at beating Biden?
I think the exact rematch that nobody wants is now inevitable. No way do I see DeSantis wrestling New Hampshire away from Trump. And if he loses New Hampshire, see, the thing is his whole basis of his campaign is that he's a winner. So if he loses Iowa and New Hampshire, it falls apart. He's Scott Walker. He's Fred Thompson. It just disintegrates.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. He does have Florida. Florida's a very early state. I hear what you're saying. If he loses Iowa and New Hampshire, yeah, he's in trouble. But, we'll see. Bill, it's a long way away. But, so you think it's going to be Trump-Biden. We shall see. Thank you very much for that call, Bill. 617-266-6868 is the number. I think New Hampshire is going to be very, very important. If anyone has any shot at beating Trump in the primary, they're going to have to win one of those early states. I'm not saying you have to win every one, but I just think, in terms of Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Florida, those are the first four early ones. They're going to have to win a couple, at least two. So I know DeSantis believes he can do very well in New Hampshire. I don't think he can. He may be right. I may be wrong. I think New Hampshire is going to go for Trump. If Trump is more vulnerable, it would be in Iowa, not in New Hampshire. But we shall see. And look, he's got to win Florida. If DeSantis cannot win Florida in a primary, then he collapses. his campaign completely collapses. So to me, if I was DeSantis, Florida's my firewall. And if Trump breaches that, it's over. It could be over within the first 4 states. So we shall see. But as things stand right now, look, to be fair, DeSantis is going to have a war chest. He's going to be advertising. He's going to be campaigning. He's going to be everywhere. And he's playing the early game. He's not playing the mid or late game. So he knows he has to draw blood, and he has to draw blood fast. So, look, I'm going to try to get him on the show, see what he has to say, have you listen to him. We're working very hard to get Trump on the show, obviously. So we shall see. To me, the big question now is this. DeSantis' singular argument and why he's popping, I wouldn't say popping, but he's doing better than everyone else, is the electability argument. Because he's done such a good job in Florida, he has a national name, national recognition. If you don't like Trump and you're a Republican, naturally you would gravitate towards DeSantis. So my question to you, do you believe DeSantis is more electable than Trump? Do you believe he has less baggage than Trump and hence can win independents, can win over some moderate swing voters, especially in some of these key purple states like Wisconsin or Michigan or Pennsylvania or Nevada or Arizona? That's going to be DeSantis' core argument. I can win against Biden. Ultimately, Trump can't. Do you buy it? Yes or no? 617-266-6868 is the number. Dave in Dunstable. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for taking the call.
My pleasure.
Jeff, you dance with the one who brought you. It's would definitely be Trump all the way. DeSantis is just a lesser, weaker version of Trump. I mean, that's my opinion on that question. And but if I was to predict, I unfortunately, Jeff, I believe Biden is going to win no matter who he's up against. Let me ask you this, Jeff. With all the evidence that we have now, like what you're saying, if we were living in a normal society, don't you think that Joe Biden would be brought out right now in front of a firing squad for everything he's done? He sold us out to our mortal enemy, China.
Oh, he'd be in the dock. No question. No question. No question.
We're not going to do anything, Jeff. And it's going to be too late because they're coming after the Second Amendment. Every day they try doing something with it. They're going to want to disarm us, and it's going to be too late. All we're going to have is our hands. And nobody wants to fight anyways. It seems like there's no more men left.
Dave, so your prediction is you think unbelievably, but we're going to be saddled with another Biden 4 years.
Yep, I really do, Jeff. That's what's going to happen. And that's because we allow it to happen, Jeff. We don't do anything, but we talk and we whine, but we're too busy working and paying our bills and stuff, and that's just what's going to happen. I guarantee it.
Dave, then we got to run for the hills, my friend. If that happens, Dave, I think maybe you and I, what do you think, New Zealand?
Yeah, I'll go. I'll follow you, Jeff, wherever you want to go.
Dave, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. The country cannot survive another 4 years of Biden. I'm not saying this figuratively. I mean, we literally, the country cannot survive 4 more. I don't know if we can survive till 2024. Another 4 years of this, basically 6 more years. Another 6 years of this. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Mark in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Mark, how are you?
Well, I still got my God, and I still got my gun.
Okay, Mark. I think he said, I still have my God, and I still have my guns. Mark, please, hang on. You sound like you're in the Himalayas, Mark. We're going to try to reconnect with you. Robert in Anchorage, Alaska. Thanks for holding, Robert, and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you so much for taking my call again.
My pleasure.
As you know, I have called in several times over the months, and I wanted to get my feelings about DeSantis.
Go ahead, Robert.
When you gave information that he referred to Russia as a gas station with nuclear weapons, and that he agreed that Putin was a war criminal or something to that effect, that immediately discounted him from being a...
Robert, I'm up against a hard break. I'm going to come back to Robert in Anchorage. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Robert in Anchorage, Alaska. He says DeSantis lost him when DeSantis came out and called Russia a gas station with nuclear missiles, which, by the way, was pretty much the same line that John McCain said. And he went on about that Russia, Robert said that Russia, essentially McCain took a very hawkish position regarding Russia, and he believes that Russia and McCain, that DeSantis's position on Russia is that of a neoconservative hawk and a potential warmonger. Have I mischaracterized your position, Robert?
No, you're absolutely correct. And Trump is, to my knowledge, the only candidate who is anti-war. I have been very long, for many decades, anti-war. So in 1968, I was very much an advocate for Richard Nixon, because Richard Nixon's campaign was he was going to end the evil war in Vietnam. And he eventually did do that. When Obama ran the first time, he claimed he was the only candidate who voted against invading Iraq. I felt the Iraq invasion was very, very evil, and I vowed I would never vote for anyone who voted for invading Iraq. So I voted for Obama, even though I'm an ultra-conservative Republican. This is why now, unless DeSantis said that he would find peace and end the war.
Hello, Robert?
It's all the inside knowledge. Plus, he has the wisdom to befriend our enemies. You never hear him saying bad things about Xi Jinping or Kim Jong-un or anyone. Instead, he befriends our enemies and works with them for world peace. And that's why whoever wants world peace is who I am going to be campaigning for.
Interesting. Robert, you kind of broke up on us a little bit in there, but I got the gist of your point. Robert, thank you very much for that call. No, look, I think this is another reason why Trump is going to shock people. He's the peace candidate. And the way I thought the analogy with Nixon is very good. Nixon promised to end the Vietnam War peace with honor. And that's what Trump is now promising as well. In Ukraine, peace with honor. Honor for Ukraine, honor for the world, a negotiated settlement, a peace deal that could prevent World War III, God forbid, from happening. And to me, I think that's going to be incredibly powerful. I think it's going to reach across the aisle. I think it's going to get a lot of independents, a lot of even anti-war Democrats, a lot of moderate Democrats. They may not admit it to their friends, but many of them are going to pull the lever for Trump. Because if you know what's going on in Ukraine, you know how dangerous this war is and how reckless the war hawks in Washington have been in escalating this war. And now it is a proxy war against Russia. And with Biden now saying we're going to send them F-16 fighter jets, this thing is going to go, it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So to me, Trump is the only man now who can deliver world peace. And that's one of many reasons why I'm 100% in his corner. And I believe it's a big reason why, not the only, but a big reason why the base is with Trump on him, is with Trump all the way. DeSantis, again, I don't know. Now, he may be using some phrases from McCain, from these neocons. What his ultimate intentions are, I don't know. Initially, he sounded very good on Ukraine. And then he began to backpedal. So I know if I had him on my show, Ukraine, Russia would be a key issue. I would drill down with him and try to see what his real intentions are. 617-266-6868. But again, that's me. Let me tell you one of the things that DeSantis now needs to worry about. And he's going to be pushed on this again and again and again. Trump is ready. DeSantis may be ready. I'm not saying he's not, but we don't know if he's ready. And that is the increasingly violent tendencies, the militancy on the radical left. And it's getting to a frightening degree. And I'm not just talking about Black Lives Matter or Antifa. Listen now to this. As you know, we are down to the wire on the debt ceiling negotiations. And for the first time now, you have many senior Republicans like Ted Cruz openly saying, we may actually default. I can't believe this is going to happen. But Biden is so he's so captured by the progressive socialist left. He's so in their pocket. And these people are so fanatical and these are so zealous that they're willing to default. They're willing to have a Biden default. And to see how rabid these leftists are, this is the chair of the Progressive Congressional Caucus. She speaks for AOC, for the Squad, for Elizabeth Warren, for all the Bernie Sanders, the hardcore progressives, the socialists in the Democratic Party. That's Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. This is now what she's threatening Biden. Listen to this. That if Biden agrees with McCarthy, if they forge a deal to lift the debt ceiling, and there are actually spending limits or spending cuts, listen to what she says the left is now willing to do. Roll cut 20, Mike.
I think there would be a huge backlash from our entire House Democratic, caucus, certainly the progressives, but also in the streets. I think that it's important that we don't take steps back from the very strong agenda that the president himself shepherded and led over the last 2 years.
We're going to take it to the streets? i.e., we're going to riot? This is... So again, we don't get what we want. We burn the freaking country down. This is again and again and again. They keep threatening violence. So now, by the way, there are always cuts going back decades. I don't think they're much in terms of cuts, but there's always cuts. When you want to lift the debt ceiling, you try to rein in some spending. So, but no, hey, whoa. So if Biden agrees to any spending reductions, which, by the way, would be very moderate, very minimal, but let that go, all of a sudden, he's going to face a backlash, not only politically, not only within Congress, within his own party, but they're saying, no, we're taking this to the streets. Now, back to DeSantis. The big advantage that he's had in Florida is that he has a Republican-controlled legislature. The Republicans control both the state house, or state assembly as they call it, and the state senate. So yes, he can control the agenda. He doesn't have to face this kind of vicious obstructionism and opposition. Trump has had to deal with it since he walked down those elevators. Ever since he came down those elevators, he's been dealing with this. So he can deal with the extreme radical militant left who threaten violence at the drop of a hat. DeSantis, I don't know. 617-266-6868 is the number. Let me ask all of you. DeSantis is going to announce today he is officially entering the race. All the polls show Trump is up nearly 40 points. However, the only one with any kind of a realistic chance of catching him is DeSantis. Do you support DeSantis? Number one, does anybody support DeSantis? I'd love to hear from you and why. And in the end, Trump versus DeSantis, who do you think is better for the Republican Party? Who do you think is better for the country? Who can beat Biden and save America? Trump or DeSantis? Who do you side with? 617-266-6868 is the number. David in Brookline. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
Good morning. Please excuse my voice. I came down with the Brookline flu. So I just wrote down 3 quick points. First of all, if they take President Trump, if they succeed in doing that, the swamp wins and the people lose. What is he really guilty of in reality, Jeff? And I know you go over this constantly, and it's even in one of your promos, which I love. What crimes did he commit? He committed one big crime. He did a fantastic job, and that's not something that the swamp can accept. So this whole thing is crap. They're going to saddle him with this. They're going to saddle him with that. It's like the Twilight Zone. What did he do? I mean, even moderate Democrats know this is crap. Only the whack jobs, Jeff, and the zealots, or whatever you want to call them, they're the only ones that believe any of that. And then 2 other points. DeSantis, I think he's an excellent governor. I really do. But and you covered some of this. He's starting out tonight, if you think about it, beholden to another globalist. We may like Musk, but he's a globalist. Who did Trump start out beholden to? Nobody. And for that matter, DeSantis crawled up to see President Trump to help get him elected. Please save my candidacy. Please save me. And then finally, Jeff, to your question, I don't think Ron DeSantis is going to play well with moderates across the country. Florida is not Ohio. In 2016, as you know, President Trump, I believe, won a lot of the so-called soccer moms and women. Say what you want about him now and what they've done to him. He had a nice person. He had a likable personality. People, he was funny. He was entertaining. He was smart. Governor DeSantis has a lawyer's personality. Sometimes he's quite nasty. And if you look at some of his policies, including abortion and other things, some of the things he said in the past about Medicare, it does not play well with moderates. And I just think, as you said, at the end of the day, President Trump has done it. And we can't afford any unknowns right now. We're in such an extreme position. And I believe, again, as you said, Governor DeSantis is tied in with a lot of the same people that we're trying to get rid of.
Well, one of the things I like, David, just to add to what you're saying, one of the things I've always liked about Trump is because he's a multi-billionaire, he's not beholden to anyone. Now, this is not a knock on DeSantis, but if you have no money, and, it's fine. I have no money. I get by. I'm middle class. I feed my family, but I'm not a wealthy man, far from it. When you don't have money and you want to run for politics or in politics, you need money. You need donors. And the problem is once you start taking money from donors, he who pays the piper calls the tune. And so you become more and more beholden to your donors. So you lose some of that independence. So you're right. I am concerned that DeSantis is beholden to many donors. That's number one. Trump is not. Number two, Trump is our lobbyist. It's clear. He has a vision for the country. We saw what he did in 4 years. It was a remarkable presidency. But David, I'm going to slightly disagree with you. You're right. They hate him for what he accomplished. But I think even more than that, his real crime was that he beat Hillary. What the Durham report to me clearly shows, you know the old famous line from Shakespeare, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. His real crime, he kicked Hillary's ass in 2016. He beat Hillary. And no one was supposed to beat Hillary. And she was the one, along with Obama and Biden. That's the axis of evil. But she was the one, along with Obama and Biden, who framed him as colluding with Russia, as being an agent of the Kremlin, and unleashed the FBI and the deep state to undermine him, spy on him, and sabotage his presidency. And a sense she hasn't stopped. She has not stopped. In fact, to show you the Lady Macbeth, the Hildebeest, she still thinks she can be president of the United States. That whack job, always, as I said, always grasping for the throne. Even when she's 6 feet under, I'm telling you, her hand is going to go right through the ground into the sky, grasping for the White House. I want to play a cut on the other side. I want everybody to listen. This woman is now angling to knock off Biden. She believes if Biden falls, they're going to go to her because she wants a rematch with Trump. Forget a Biden-Trump rematch. She wants a Hillary-Trump rematch. And so the real crime that Trump committed in the eyes of the left, he beat Hillary, and they've never forgiven him. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, so there are all the, it's like Game of Thrones. It's all these moving pieces behind the background. Listen now to the Hildebeest, Hillary Rotten Clinton. This was at a Financial Times weekend festival in Washington, D.C., and out of the blue, she takes a shot at Joe Biden and his age. Roll cut 30A, Mike.
Heart-stopping moment where he almost fell over coming down the stairs a day or two ago. He didn't use the railings. Jill wasn't there with him. Every time that happens, your heart is in your mouth because these things could be consequential. Is that a concern?
Well, I mean, it's a concern for anyone. And we've had presidents who've fallen before who were a lot younger, and people didn't go into, heart palpitations. But his age is an issue, and people have every right to consider it.
Suddenly now, age is an issue, and people should consider it, i.e., wink, wink. He's in decline. Wink, wink. He's not right in the head. He's getting soft in the head. Now, to me, what that means is the Hildebeest thinks, hey, to the Democrats, Trump is going to beat him. If it's not Trump, DeSantis is going to beat him. Joe can't win. But you know who can? Me. That's what she's telling the Democrats. So she wants a rematch with Trump in 2016 because she's never forgiven Trump. Her people have never forgiven Trump. Frankly, the Democrats and the media have never forgiven Trump for trashing her and beating her in 2016. And so let me ask you, it's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. Do you believe Hillary wants to replace Joe Biden? Does Hillary want to overthrow or knock off Joe Biden, replace Joe Biden, and become the Democratic nominee in 2024? Yes or no? To me, you never count her out. She's always scheming. She lusts for power. It's in her blood. This woman cannot stop craving for the throne. But that's me. What say you? You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner. As always, you can vote on our webpage, and not just there, but also on Twitter. Our handle at the Kuhner Report, Kuhner, one word, at the Kuhner Report. DeSantis will announce today, it's official, he is running for president in 2024. It's going to be him versus Trump. Trump has a big lead in the Republican primary. Who do you side with? DeSantis or Trump? 617-266-6868. Chris in Drake-it. Thanks for holding, Chris, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Chris?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. So, Jeff, I think the man from Anchorage, I forget his name. Robert mentioned something that was immediately came out of my mind with DeSantis, is that Tucker asked a bunch of questions to these candidates that have responded, and basically what happened was that he gave a great answer about Ukraine initially, and then all of a sudden he backtracked, and he started talking about how it's a gas station and using McCain talking points. I want nothing to do with the McCain Republican Party, the Bush Republican Party, the Cheney Republican Party. And for him, I would ask this question: why aren't they railing about the Durham report? Do they think that they're incredulous to actually have this happen to them as well, too? Do they think that if we just knock off Trump, that everything's going to go back to playing patty cake and all the norms are going to be reestablished and what have you? We gave them an inch by not fighting back, and they took a yard. And people keep on saying, I'm in a Twitter group with a bunch of DeSantis people on a community notes group, and all they do is back DeSantis on everything and trash the Trump people as rubes. And that really is a big turnoff to me, because America First people, the working class people, are the heart of the Republican Party now. And I don't like the elitists looking down. And when Trump says sanctimonious, well, do you remember when DeSantis was asked questions about the Stormy Daniels thing and says, well, I don't know about strippers, and then walking around saying I'm the only one who can win? And also, DeSantis also says, well, look what I'm getting done. Hey, is it easier to get things done in a state bureaucracy or a federal bureaucracy, Because that's what we're up against here. And DeSantis has the two chambers, which you guys already mentioned, and he has the ability to get things done that you can't not get done at the federal level, at the state level. So I'm so sick of this talking point that he's the only one who can win. I like Ron DeSantis, and if Ron DeSantis wins the primary, I'll be the first person to go out there, hold flags for him, signs, what have you, because at the end of the day, we need to beat Biden. But I need to know about Ukraine. I need to know about the economy. I need to know about what you think about the FBI, the Durham report, what you think about the 2020 election, the 2022 election, because if we don't really talk about the issues that happened in the past, which people say, oh, we can't talk about, then how are we going to be able to fix the things in the future?
Excellent.
So those are my biggest concerns.
You're on fire. Chris, I want to ask you, and you're touching on it, but I want to just sort of pin you down on this. Do you think DeSantis ultimately, at his core, in his heart of hearts, do you think DeSantis is a Republican elitist? And do you think DeSantis is ultimately a Bush neoconservative? That what we're going to get may be smarter, maybe in some ways better, leaner, meaner, but what we're going to get is Bush Republicanism. We're going to get endless wars. That's what we're going to get under DeSantis. Someone who will empower the deep state, make it even grow more, and give us more wars around the world. Maybe you'll fight them better than Biden, but the point is we're going to get these forever wars. Is that your suspicion about DeSantis?
Who's backing him? Is Karl Rove out there on Fox News backing him? Are all the people on Fox News and all the pundits that I didn't like in 2020 and 2016 backing DeSantis, or are they backing Trump? Do I need to hear Karl Rove and the Wall Street Journal editorial board telling me who's a nice man and who's not a nice man, and whose wife is nice and whose wife isn't nice? Like, I'm sorry, like that's elitism right there. I'm going to choose who I'm going to vote for. If that person wants to call people names, but he makes me richer and he makes my family safer and my economy stronger and our borders stronger, I'm going to take that any day of the week. And Trump did it. Trump has done it, and I'm not saying DeSantis can't do it. And listen, like I said, I will vote for DeSantis if he wins the nomination. But I know what I got with Trump, and he's motivated. He's ready. He's ready to go out there, and I want retribution for what happened, Jeff. Like,
oh, amen.
We're getting beat over the head every day by the radical left, and we wouldn't be in this mess that we're in today with the stuff with all. I mean, come on, Jeff. You know what I'm talking about.
Everything. Oh, come on. You're completely right. We wouldn't have the invasion at the border. We wouldn't have $4 or $5 a gallon gas. We wouldn't have this inflation, and we sure as hell wouldn't have that war in Ukraine. Just no question about it. No question. Chris, great call. Great call. 617-266-6868. No, look, if I get DeSantis on, I think a legitimate question is, are you a McCain-Bush Republican? In other words, you seem to quote them. You have many Bushies backing you. And part of the Trump phenomenon, part of the America First movement is a rebellion against Bush, McCain, Republicanism, neoconservatism. I'm sorry. We don't want open borders. We don't want amnesty for illegals. We don't want wars all over the world. And we don't want trade deals that sell our country down the river. Now, if we're just going to get, a smarter, tougher, meaner Bush Republicanism, well, I'm going to go with Trump all the way then. So really, like, you're quoting McCain. Are you the second coming of John McCain? Because if you are, I'm telling you, the base and the working middle class, we want no part of it. I'm sorry, we just don't. Nothing personal. You're a great governor, no question. But on a presidential, national, international level, Bush, McCain, Republicanism was a disaster. 617-266-6868 is the number. Linda in Saugus. Thanks for holding, Linda, and welcome.
Thank you for everything that you do, Jeff. I do want to answer that Hillary question that you asked. I think she came out of her mother's womb wanting to be president, Jeff, to be honest with you. I think that's why she stayed with Bill all these years, too. She's evil to the core, Jeff. Evil to the core, and that's why President Trump has all these issues, because of her and the people like her. As far as I'm concerned, DeSantis lacks one thing. I do not think that all these years that President Trump has had all these things coming at him from every angle, Jeff, he would not be able to sustain himself like President Trump. There would be no way, Jeff. He would be giving in. He would be giving in. He would not be able to handle it, Jeff. He's going on Twitter to make his announcement, and I think he doesn't have the finesse that President Trump has to have questions asked of him, to be on stage, Jeff, and to answer questions. I do not think...
Well, Linda, look, you just touched on something, and I'd like to throw, not just to you, but to the whole audience, to everyone listening. What do you make of the fact that he's making his announcement on Twitter in an interview with Elon Musk? One of the things I love about Trump is, when he made his announcement, he made it in front of his supporters at Mar-a-Lago. But, reporters ask away. The one thing about Trump, he never shies away from questions. So he'll take questions in a town hall from the audience. He'll take questions from hostile reporters. He'll take questions from the entire media. He's not afraid. Bring it on. It seems to me that this is very scripted, very packaged, And again, I don't want to use that word, but very elitist. Like Elon Musk? Like, so you're announcing your run for president of the United States, not in front of your supporters in Tallahassee or in Florida or whatever, but on social media with, and I like what he's done with Twitter, don't get me wrong, but with an arch globalist, a multi-billionaire like Elon, you know, it's not the people's touch. I'll tell you this. I mean, Linda, am I wrong?
Oh, you're absolutely correct. And that's the thing that I'm thinking of to myself. He's not going out there with the public. You see, with Donald Trump, President Trump, you get the president who is running for you to help change this country. All of us are in it together, Jeff. With DeSantis, it's all about him. I'm sorry. It's all about him. He rode on the coattails of President Trump when it was beneficial for him, and now he's his arch enemy. He could never, ever have gone all these years and had all the issues that Trump had and still without giving in, Jeff. I'm afraid. I'm sorry. I don't trust the man. I think that he's a great governor, but I think that he would be going along to get along. Okay? That's my fear. Linda. And he's not a personable person.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, they're saying he doesn't have Trump's charisma and his personal touch. But to be fair, very few people have. I mean, Trump's charisma. Look, I didn't like the guy. I couldn't stand him. I opposed him on every issue. You know, but Obama, look, I covered him in 2008. The guy had charisma. I mean, people they were passing out in arenas. So, you know, Obama had that charisma. Frankly, Reagan had that charisma. John F. Kennedy had that charisma. So you've seen presidents periodically where they have that connection with a crowd or with an audience, that wow factor. And there's no question, DeSantis, very smart, tough, effective, efficient, clearly very focused, very disciplined, a very, very good, effective governor. But he's a lawyer. He is a Navy man. He's got a military background, which I like. But he's very goal-oriented, very task-oriented. Trump is almost like a force of nature. I mean, Trump can pack an arena. Trump can pack a stadium. And so I think DeSantis is going to have to deal with that as well. Linda, thank you very, very much for that call. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Look, honestly, one of the reasons why I don't mind DeSantis throwing his hat in the ring, because I've always been saying 12 years of MAGA rule, 4 with Trump, 8 with DeSantis. I want to see him now, not as governor of Florida, but as an announced, full-blown presidential candidate, an official candidate. He's going to take a beating from the media. They're already attacking Florida. They're already calling him Hitler. They're already calling him a racist. We talked about this yesterday, a white supremacist. So now, as Linda talks about, Trump has the slings and arrows. He's been assaulted, attacked, vilified relentlessly. Let's see what DeSantis is now made of. I want to see, can he take the punishment that Trump can? Is he ready for prime time? When the media unloads on him, when other candidates begin, because they will attack him, because everybody wants to be the number 2 in order to try to get to number 1. So other Republicans are going to attack him. The media is going to, they are going to unload on him. And the Democrats are going to be vicious. Let's see if DeSantis has the intestinal fortitude to withstand all of the blows. I want to see what he's made of. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is a really, really good email. And let me throw it out there because I know a caller mentioned it earlier, but it seems that a lot of you text on the text line, the emails coming in. This is really bothering many of you. Jeff, I've always liked DeSantis. But now I'm starting to think he's dishonest, DeSantis. And what really rubs me the wrong way about him throwing his hat in the ring is that even though we knew he was going to do it, in that press conference DeSantis did in Florida several months ago, he was asked point blank if he would run in 2024. And he said he had no intention of running and that he needed to focus on being governor. Of course, Trump saw right through it. And that's when he immediately went on the attack. What gets me is that when DeSantis was asked, instead of just saying that he was keeping all options open, which would have been fine, he instead chose to be dishonest with the public and stated no when he knew otherwise. So right out of the gate, as his first move, DeSantis chose to lie and make the typical slick politician route. Some might say that he was just being strategic, but at the end of the day, I think that reflects very poorly on his character. And I have to ask, if he won't be honest in the little things, then how can I trust anything he ever says? You're either a man of your word or you're not. And I'm not going to wink at his dishonesty or make excuses for him. Interesting. So to sum it up, when asked several months ago, DeSantis said, I have no intention of running for president. I want to be governor. And as during the election, he said, re-elect me. You're going to get me for 4 years. And yet it seems quite obvious that wasn't true. He clearly was planning to run for president. It was all about timing, biding his time, waiting for the right moment. Now, he didn't say, I may run, who knows, anything's possible, I'm keeping all my options open. Well, you never say no, everything's on the table. He said, I'm going to be governor for another 4 years. I'm focusing on being governor. I have no intention of running for president. Did he lie? And if he can lie about something like this, is he just another typical politician? I have to put that out there. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868 is the number. Anthony in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Anthony, and welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, as always, Jeff. Chris kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but this is something the Republican Party, the voters, need to hear. You're a joke. You're a joke. If you support anybody else but Donald Trump right now, can anybody else run? Go right ahead. But the voters should be saying, screw you, because Donald Trump was framed by the deep state, and now we 100% know it.
Anthony, you're on a roll. Please hang on. I've got a hard break. I'm going to come right back to Anthony. Anthony says Trump is the only candidate for Republicans. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it's official. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will be a presidential candidate for the United States. He will run in the Republican presidential primary. He will announce it tonight, this evening, 6 p.m. Eastern, on Twitter in an interview with Elon Musk. Let's go right back to Anthony in New Hampshire. Anthony says, if you're a Republican, there's only one choice, and that's Trump. Anthony, please continue. You're on a roll. Let me ask you, do you think DeSantis has any chance of defeating Trump?
No, he doesn't. And Jeff, it's not just Republican. If you're an American, you need to be standing by this man. It's no longer a conspiracy theory, people. This happened. Our government went after a sitting president. If that doesn't scream to you, oh my God, I need to fight back against the deep state, you're destined to be a slave, because guess what? They're trying to push this reparations, and that's going to make us all slaves to the government, because they're going to take that money from me and give it to somebody else who I never wanted to go to. That makes you a slave. And you know, Tim Scott, everybody missed it. The math doesn't add up. That man said that his grandfather was forced to pick cotton, i.e. he was a slave. How old was his grandfather when he moved in at 7? 105? Nobody picked up on that. But, back to Trump and what the deep state has done. The Democrat Party is not letting anybody run against Dementia Joe right now. If what was done to Donald Trump was done to Hillary Clinton, there would be no debate amongst any Democrat whatsoever. They would all be rallying around Hillary Clinton, and yet the Republican Party is back and forth with each other at their throats saying, I don't like the mean tweets. Well, if you are being targeted by the deep state, what else are you going to do besides mean tweets? Come on, people. This isn't a conspiracy. This is fact. And the fact that people that claim to be Republicans, which I'm no longer, I'm unenrolled because of this, because in 2020 I was screaming up and down and I was called a conspiracy theorist. Well, guess what? If my party's not going to stand up for me, I'm not going to stand up for my party. No, thank you. I'm going to unenroll, and I'll be an independent for the rest of my life until I see some changes in this party, which just doesn't happen. Why isn't there an ad running right now consecutively on TV from Ronald McDonald with Hillary Clinton saying Joe Biden is too old to be president? Why isn't that being run? We could use her own words right now, and there's nothing. The Republicans have no fight in them, and until they get some fight, they're not going to have me as a voter. I might vote for Donald Trump, but they reached out to me for money for Swami or whatever the guy's name is, and I told them the only way I would ever give that man any money is if he dropped out right now and said, I stand behind Donald Trump because of the Durham report, and I will never vote for anybody that ran against Donald Trump in this election cycle. Never. There was a conservative on earlier that said he voted for Obama. This is the Republican Party. You're not a conservative if you voted for Obama. Sorry to break your bubble in Alaska, but you're not a conservative, dude. You voted for Obama. You're an independent, and you don't care about party.
Anthony, as always, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can text us 70470, 70470. This is from 781. Jeff, why are you so anti-DeSantis? I'm not. I swear. I mean, honestly, God is my witness. I've said it before. Look, I think Trump is a better candidate. I would, if the election were held today, for the Republican primary, I would back Trump. But DeSantis is my number 2. I like him a lot. And if it's him versus Biden, to me, it's a no-brainer. I will vote for DeSantis over Biden any freaking day of the week. So it's not that I'm anti-DeSantis, far from it. I just think Trump is ready on day one. He's battle-tested. I like many of his policies. I don't see why I should change. Now, would I love to see DeSantis as his VP? Yes. Would I vote for DeSantis in 2028? Very likely. I mean, I have to see who all the candidates are, but I like the guy. If he wins the nomination, I will definitely vote for DeSantis. To me, DeSantis Biden or DeSantis Hillary or DeSantis Michelle Obama, just take any of the picks, or DeSantis Kamala Harris. I mean, come on. If any of those Democrats win, we don't have a country, period, full stop. So please don't misunderstand me. I'm just calling it the way I see it. I have, now you're going to hear from my wife, Grace, at 9:00. We have dissension in the Kuhner household. It's okay. It's a democracy. We're allowed to disagree. She's DeSantis number 1, Trump number 2. Now, what I'd like to do, to be fair, is there anybody, I'm not going to debate you. I'm not going to argue with you. I promise. I just want to, so far we have not gotten one caller who says, I will support DeSantis over Trump in the primary. I'd love to hear from you. Make your case. Make the case for DeSantis. I will put you on, I promise. 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Frank in Bedford. Thanks for holding, Frank, and welcome.
Thank you for taking my call. I'm working. This is a very important subject. In the past on this station, we have proved without a doubt a year ago and now DeSantis is 100% rhino. All your callers, go back in your archives. He's taking Democratic money. He's going after Social Security. He's a plant. He does good for a reason. You got to know the enemy. The enemy can take a person like him, make him a movie star. We'll all believe it. Technically, if we go into his past, put it on social media, he's done. Furthermore, I myself, sorry for taking a breath, I'm working. I went and found an archive.
Frank, do me a favor. We've got a hard break. We're going to come back to Frank. 617-266-6868 is the number. Trump versus DeSantis. It's now on. Who do you support in the Republican primary? Let's go right back to Frank in Bedford. Frank, you said you've looked at DeSantis, his past, his record, his character, his profile, and you believe he's a rhino. Pick up where you left off, Frank.
All right, we're not paying attention. We're going back on this subject. You've got the best of the best in there. We've already proved he shouldn't even be running. There was an interview with Trump I stated over 6 months on this station, and I think it was MSNBC. He was asked a question about DeSantis. He had a big smile. Don't forget he's president. I have the goods on him. I will tear him apart. What is he basically saying? He has the goods. Why is he running? Because we, the people, are not paying attention. We have to pay attention. How many times have I come on here saying we're not going to make it to 2024? We're focusing on 2024. We should also be focusing on what? Impeaching Biden now and get Mr. Trump in now. Now, why am I saying that? If you don't see it, you don't live it. I am near the New Hampshire border. Guess what's in New Hampshire, Trev? Right on the back door. Truckloads and busloads of illegal aliens just took over a motel. They outnumber everybody in that motel. While we're talking about this, we're being invaded. The people will not come on this show because they're afraid to go to work. They can't even go to work. They're partying. These people here, they call the fire department. They're cooking in there. Their lives are miserable. I like to ask people out there, how many motels are full? Now, these people here, you starve them to death. What do you got? You got your own deep state army. I've seen the laptop, 100% evidence. What is Congress doing? Nothing. Why? Half the Republicans are rhinos. We outnumber them. Start getting up the balls and get out there and start your research. Does that make sense, Jeff?
Frank, look, I got to tell you, you're making a lot of sense. And thank you very much for that call. That's why I've been calling for Biden's impeachment relentlessly. I've been saying we got to stop the invasion at the border because now this invasion is all over the country. In New York City, I'm just going by the mayor, half of the hotels and motels in New York City, half, are now fully occupied by illegal aliens. They're coming into New Hampshire. I know this for a fact. They're putting them, Sununu is putting them up in hotels all across New Hampshire. They're in Boston. They're in Massachusetts. They're everywhere. So every state now is a border state. And you're completely right. That is the deep state army. That's Biden's socialist army that they are amassing everywhere. And to me, one of the big questions I want to ask of DeSantis is, what would you do to stop the invasion and secure the border? I know he says he wants to do it. God bless him. But how? Where do you differentiate yourself from Trump, and why are you better than Trump on this issue? In other words, I'd love to have him here, ask him some serious questions, and see what he has to say. Frank, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mags, speaking of New Hampshire, in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mags, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff, and God bless you, and thank you, as always, for everything that you do. Frank, I love you in a non-sexual way. He's 100% right, people. We've got to wake up. Come wave flags with us, Frank, on Friday night in Hudson, New Hampshire. Let's show these people what we're all about and what we have, us patriots. Because, Jeff, if people don't know at this point that most of the Republicans are rhinos, and we need to get rid of all of them, and they're all criminals, too, on top of it. They're treasonous criminals. What is wrong with us here in America? There's more of us than there are of them. God bless America, people. We need to take our country back. Jeff, if it wasn't for you, we'd have no voice. Thank you for everything you do. God bless you, Kuhner country. Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day. Thank you very much, Mags. 6-1. Well, I got to tell you, I think New Hampshire is going to be pivotal. Really, look, I mean, even DeSantis' people are saying they have to do very well in New Hampshire, if not win New Hampshire, if DeSantis is going to have any chance at beating Trump, dethroning him, and winning the Republican primary. So if you're in New Hampshire, get ready. You're going to be bombarded. DeSantis' people are going to be there. Chris Christie's basically, the buffets, don't bother going to a buffet because Christie is going to be at every single one of those buffets. He's going to be living in New Hampshire for the next 6 to 9 months. So you're going to have Tim Scott, you're going to have Asa Hutchinson, Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, Mike Pence. They're all going to be camping out in New Hampshire. The only chance they have to beat Trump is to derail him in New Hampshire. I think Trump is going to win New Hampshire, but we shall see. 617-266-6868. Rick in Florida. Thanks for holding, Rick, and welcome.
How you doing, Jeff? I'd like to make a case for Ron DeSantis.
Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I believe Ron DeSantis wouldn't make the same mistakes as Donald Trump has made. Some of the bad hires that he had made, having Chris Christie help him with debate prep, both attorney generals, and even that CNN town hall he had just done. If CNN did not fill the audience with real conservatives, Donald Trump would have made another huge mistake going on there. Ron DeSantis doesn't, I don't believe would make these same mistakes. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. It's the first time I've ever called.
Rick, you're among friends. Please don't be nervous. Rick, so you're saying you think he'd be better hires, better personnel. You think he would make some of the mistakes that Trump has made. Where do you think he would be better on policy? And why do you think he's more electable than Trump?
Even saying those things. But Trump had sunk his own presidency with first hiring Jeff Sessions as his attorney general, and then going and hiring Bill Barr, a rhino, that let all this stuff go on in the Durham report. Let them hide the Biden crime family problems here. I don't think these are things, even today, when DeSantis is going to make, announce, he's doing it on Twitter with a friendly voice. And he isn't the kind of guy that would go on The View, that would be set up. Trump has never come out and said, listen, these are the mistakes I've made. I shouldn't have done this. How do we know Trump isn't going to hire more rhinos to fill his cabinet? It seems like he takes more time to talk about who he is instead of what he's going to do. And Trump does not own this seat. Is it important for him to have the MAGA movement go on, or is it important for him to be president?
Rick, I want to ask you this question. Do you think ultimately what you're trying to say is, and what you're saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that DeSantis is ultimately smarter and has better judgment than Trump? that he just is more savvy, will not make the unforced errors that Trump has made, has better personnel, that overall you just think he's a better executive. Is that what you think?
Exactly. It's just a matter of not falling into these traps. And like I said, I mean, everybody talks about the CNN town hall there. You know it, and I know it. If they had not filled the audience, and I don't know why they did it, with conservatives, if they had a bunch of rhinos in there, or, you know, some sort of fake Republicans, he would have looked terrible if they had gotten up and just started asking him about, well, why'd you rape this girl? Why did you do this? You know, he just got lucky with this one. And I don't think DeSantis would make these mistakes.
Interesting. Rick, thank you very much. I wanted someone to call to make the case for DeSantis, and you certainly did that. Thank you so much for that call, Rick. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, it's on. Trump versus DeSantis. DeSantis has now made it official. He will announce tonight on Twitter with Elon Musk. He is the only one with any kind of a shot to catch Trump. Trump is blowing away the entire field. He is up by nearly 40 points. In fact, DeSantis is the only one in double digits. Everyone else, single digits, almost all of them, very low single digits. My question to you, can DeSantis beat Trump in a primary, or is this thing already over? And who of the two do you believe is the most electable? Who of the two can beat Biden and win in 2024? Mark in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome. Hello, Mark. Did we lose Mark? Okay, let's see if we can reconnect. Let's go to Veronica in Florida. Thanks for holding, Veronica, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. I am a DeSantis girl, and I was a Trump chairman when he first ran here in Florida in 2016. And I have to tell you, I love Trump, and he's strong, and I'm mad at everything that has happened to him. But DeSantis has been leading the way, and he just passed legislation here in Florida for the illegals, where you can't be an illegal here. If you have a company and you have more than 25 people working for you, you have to e-verify. He also allocated $12 million to move them to sanctuary states. You cannot be in this state with a driver's license from somewhere else. So, you know, he's been great. And when that Hurricane Ian hit down south, he rebuilt a bridge in 2 weeks. He comes to my county that was hit by a hurricane 5 years ago. He constantly brings money to us. He gives money to first responders, to teachers. And, you know, when he said he wasn't going to run, please remember his wife had breast cancer. And she just, you know, I went to the inauguration. I went to his last two inauguration, all the events, and I could see where she had her port put in. So she's a breast cancer survivor, and I don't know if they were ready yet when people were asking the hard questions. You got to beat breast cancer first before you can go, you know, win a presidential race, because it takes a wife as well. And she's amazing, our first lady. So he's fantastic, Jeff.
Veronica, let me ask you this, because these are some of the questions people are asking. I'd love to get your take. That DeSantis, that he's got the support of people like Jeb Bush or Karl Rove, people that, you know, are part of the establishment, the rhino wing of the Republican Party. What do you say to that argument?
Well, I do a lot of politics here in town, and I have a radio show here on Saturdays in the Panhandle, and I've had his chief of staff on and his general counsel on, and they are men of God. So I don't think he's a rhino. I think he cares about Florida. I'm excited. He cares about children. He fights for them every single day. So I want to take this national. We need somebody that has a backbone and has a family unit. And then, you know, the thing about Trump is when he got on, you know, Twitter and was divisive at 3 a.m, I don't think DeSantis is going to be that way. Yeah, he's not he's not a teddy bear, but he's tough. And I think the world, you know, we got to take our superpower position back in the world, Jeff. We don't have that now. And with DeSantis leading, we will have that. And I was I'm a Trumper. I was a Trumper twice, and I worked for a year for his campaign. So I adore the man. But it's time for a guard change, and DeSantis will lead the way. I just see who he surrounds himself in Tallahassee. He's got brilliant staff working so hard, and they're all God men. So this is who we want leading our country, Jeff.
Veronica, I guess let me ask you the $64,000 question. You voted for Trump twice. You worked on his campaign for a year. Obviously, if he's the nominee, you're going to vote for him, no question. But you prefer DeSantis over Trump. What's the number one reason in your mind? What is it about DeSantis that you believe puts him over Trump? In other words, for people listening who maybe are on the fence or whatever, why DeSantis over Trump? What's the one quality or issue that you think, say, you know, Jeff, I voted for Trump, I love Trump, but DeSantis is better. Why?
I think he's more refined. And, you know, he's tough, but he's refined. And he's done everything right here. I mean, I'm in the free state of Florida. Let's not forget that. And, you know, we've been inundated. We have 1,000 people that move here a day because our state's so great. So I don't care what the NAACP says. Everybody's moving here, and he will fight those hard. Why did he take on these hard causes? Disney, drag queens. Normal governors aren't worried about things like that. So he's fought the hard issues. I mean, he lowered now, you know, abortion. You can't get one. It's like 15 weeks. So he's been lowering that as well. So he's fighting for pro-life. He's the total package, Jeff, and his wife is amazing, and she will lead the way. They will lead the way for our country, and we need to take our country back. You know that. You talk about it every day. I listen to you. Every single day. You talk about this.
Veronica, you're making a very good case for Trump. I'm sorry, for DeSantis. Forgive me. You're making a very good case for DeSantis. I know my wife agrees with you. You and Grace, Veronica, would really hit it off.
You know, I'm a retired Air Force veteran. He's a veteran. He loves the military. And look at our military. It's gone woke. We've got to get rid of General Milley, and we've got to clean house there as well.
Oh, amen.
So he gets it. Jeff, he gets it. We need him. And I love Trump. But it's time for a guard change. And
I hear you.
Governor
I hear
DeSantis.
you. Veronica, thank you for calling and making the case. Thank you so much. 617-266-6868. Veronica, Grace will be on in, 5 minutes or whatever it is, 3 minutes. Her position is almost like Veronica's. I love Trump, but DeSantis won, Trump too. I just happen to be the opposite. I'm sorry. I'm Trump 1, DeSantis 2. That's how God made me. Lawrence in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Lawrence, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for taking the call.
My pleasure.
I guess I'll make it quick because I know Grace is coming on, but Victoria made great points all around, and I think I would just kind of double down on what she said. And so maybe I'll make the point that one of the big groups that we're going to have to get to win the election is that women vote. And I think that's where Trump kind of stumbles a little bit. And so if you notice, your wife and Victoria are both DeSantis fans. And I think what that kind of says is he's going to bring in those areas that maybe Trump cut off, the independents, the women. I know Trump did very well with other minority groups, so I don't know how that'll play out, but I feel good about that. So, and I think overall I find DeSantis to be like a polished Trump. I think he's going to stand up to the media the way he stands up to Disney. And I think he will push back against a lot of the deep state or the rhinos or even just these career politicians who are just there to make money and not really serve the people. So I think
Lawrence, you're touching on something I think very profound, because I know this is the point that Grace has made to me for months now, and she'll probably make it again. I don't want to speak for her, but I know in private she said, Jeff, I talk to a lot of women, and Trump turns women off, rightly or wrongly. But suburban women, more college-educated women, look, maybe they've bought into the propaganda, whatever. She says, whatever it is, Jeff, The point is, you mention Trump and they see red. It's almost like a reflex. DeSantis doesn't have that effect. And so college educated or suburban women, DeSantis can win them over. And she believes that is a key voting block. And that's why she believes ultimately DeSantis is more deadly in a one-on-one race against Biden. Not that she won't back Trump. She'll back Trump all the way if he's the nominee. But her argument is pretty much what you're saying. With some of these key voting blocks, she thinks DeSantis can win them, that Trump just can't.
I completely agree. I honestly think the Democrats believe Trump will be the nominee, and they're putting all their eggs in that basket, and they're going to try and push against that. So if someone like DeSantis comes along, I don't think they'll be ready for that. And while I agree, if Trump becomes a nominee, he's got my vote. And I also truly believe he should be president right now. But when it comes down to this election, we're going to have to get every vote we can because we know they're going to fight dirty. So I do believe DeSantis would be just the stick in their wheel or something like that that's just going to throw them off, and they'll grab those votes that we need.
Interesting. Lawrence, thank you very much for that call. All right, well, 3 calls now. Boom, boom, boom. Setting the stage now for Grace. Because, she's all in with DeSantis. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, joining me now, as she always does at this time, Dr. Grace, putting liberals in their place. Grace Vuoto, former nationally syndicated talk show host, political commentator, political analyst. Yes, I have to say it, or else they want to sue me. She's my better half, my wife. And I married up. No question. Okay. Casa Kuhner, the Kuhner household, is a divided home. You know me. I'm backing Trump in the primary. My wife, however, Grace, is going in with DeSantis. So, Grace, the day has now arrived. DeSantis will make his official announcement with Elon Musk. What say you?
Let's talk more action, DeSantis, Jeff. No drama, DeSantis. I'm thinking of some great slogans, but the best line is, where did Trump choose to live after he left the White House? He chose to live in Florida. And who did he vote for? Trump has voted for DeSantis because DeSantis is the best governor in America today. If he can do for America what he did to Florida, we will be a blessed, thriving nation, a nation of freedom again, because the flag of liberty flies in Florida, and it has flown there throughout all of the challenges that we have weathered the last few years. Throughout the medical tyranny that we endured, he stood tall to ensure that Florida remained a free state. He provided a booming economy. He's provided school choice for parents. He's been tough on the woke mob, tougher than anybody else. He's taken on corporate elites like Disney. He stood up to big pharma. And with him, you're not going to have a politicized DOJ. If he becomes the president of the United States, this will be a free country again.
Okay, let me ask you, why do you think he's better than Trump? I think that's the ultimate. I know you like Trump. I know you voted for him twice. And as you've told me many times, if Trump is the nominee, you will definitely vote for him again. We have to beat Biden at all costs. And you acknowledge Trump was quite a successful president. He accomplished a lot. But you're saying, Jeff, I prefer DeSantis over Trump. Why?
Well, Jeff, everything that Trump achieved has been undone. So those achievements did not last. And we need a leader that can provide achievements that remain in place. The achievements that DeSantis has put in place in Florida, they're not going to be undone anytime soon. So what's the point of having policies that work and then they're revoked? And one of the reasons that they were revoked is because Yes, the deep state hates Trump, but he, as many, many callers have said, is also his own worst enemy. So he's not as steady, he's not as capable as Ron DeSantis in putting in place lasting policies. That's one of the best arguments for DeSantis.
What do you make of the argument? This is one of my key arguments. When it comes to Ukraine, when it comes to peace in Ukraine, when it comes to standing up to China, when it comes to dealing with all of these foreign policy crises that we face, Trump can deal with Putin. He can end the war in Ukraine. He can stand up to Xi Jinping. He can stand up to the mullahs in Iran. He is battle-tested. He's ready on day one. DeSantis,
well, not really, Jeff. And the biggest conversation to be had here is this. If the deep state went after him ever since 2016, as we know now from the Durham report, they went after him. And ultimately, they beat him. What makes anybody think that he's going to be able to beat the deep state in 2024? I think, is everybody, smoking marijuana or something? How is Trump going to come in 2024? I don't even think it's realistic. I don't even think that is a choice right now. I think the real credible choice that we face, Jeff, is either we have DeSantis or another Democrat. Those are the two choices we face if we are lucky. And I'm afraid that the deep state is so entrenched that even any other credible Democrat doesn't have a chance. I don't see Robert Kennedy having any chance. I don't see Marianne Williamson having any chance, meaning I think it's only a small criminal cabal, a treasonous criminal cabal, that has the chance to remain in power, which is the Obamas, the Clintons, or the Bidens. So I think the real choice that we face is either DeSantis or another Democrat. And if it's going to be another Democrat, it's going to be another treasonous criminal. What, the deep state is just going to lay down and let him come to power? I just don't think that it's a credible option. It's just not going to happen. I feel when I hear Trump people talking now, it's like, people that, you went through a bad breakup and you're pining for the days when it went well. I'm sorry. You got to remember how bad the breakup has been. What I mean by that is we are facing a mortal threat to this country. The deep state will not let Donald Trump come back to power. So what choice do we really credibly face? It's
okay,
DeSantis
but let me ask you this. I hear where you're coming from, but let me ask you this. Do you think they'll allow DeSantis to come to power?
I don't know. I
can tell you right now they won't. I'll tell you right now. By your logic, no, hold on, just one second.
Wait,
just 1 second, please, just 1 second. I promise, I'll give you all the time you want. I mean, look at the way the media is vilifying DeSantis. He's already the second coming of Hitler. The Democrats have already said, DeSantis wins, democracy is over. That's what they said about Trump. So, and DeSantis is going to depoliticize the DOJ. Good luck. What I'm saying is, they're not going to allow DeSantis to come to power. So what I'm trying to tell you is, what makes you think DeSantis, say what you want about Trump, but he fought him tooth and nail. He's calling for the deep state to be completely dismantled. He knows the enemy. He's willing to take the fight to the enemy.
He fought them and lost. He's out of power.
Now he knows where but now he knows where the bodies are buried. Don't worry. He'll get a second crack at them. And this time he'll bury him. What I'm just trying to say is this. What makes you think that they'll allow DeSantis to win? They're going to allow Ron DeSantis, a conservative Catholic, one of the most conservative governors in the United States, to come to power? As KT McFarland said, a Republican president with a Republican attorney general who's going to clean up the FBI and clean up the DOJ? I don't think they're going to let DeSantis in.
Well, Jeff, let me tell you something. He's the only chance we have to remove a treasonous cabal from power. It's DeSantis or nothing. And I think the Trump voters have to start facing reality. You guys have got to stop dreaming and face what we are dealing with here, which is a very powerful deep state. And at least DeSantis is shrewder. He's cagier, and he's actually smarter than Donald Trump. He can hold his tongue. He knows when to take on somebody frontally and when to take them on through the back door. Donald Trump doesn't know how to do that. So I don't know if DeSantis can come in. I even don't know if anybody that is a credible Democrat can ever come in. Anybody that's not a treasonous Democrat. I truly don't know. But one thing I know for sure that's been proven now since 2016, they will not let Trump come back, Jeff. So keep on dreaming, or we're just going to waste our time between now and 2024. You know, one of your callers said, we are the Titanic heading for an iceberg. And I really do believe that we are. And the only one who can prevent us from hitting that iceberg is Ron DeSantis. And who cares right now about, is he a rhino? Is he a globalist? For God's sakes, we're trying to preserve freedom itself. That's what is at stake right now. Never mind these foreign policy discussions on the right. That's a luxury we do not have right now. We have to get this treasonous criminal cabal that is beholden to the communists out of there. And I just don't.
Oh, no, on that I completely agree with you. No, on that I completely agree with you.
Jeff.
No, I know. Grace, we've got about 30 seconds. No, just what will DeSantis do differently than Trump to smash the deep state? You haven't convinced me of that.
DeSantis is much more of a consensus builder. He's an institution builder. He co-ops and gets alliances together. I've always said that's the problem with Donald Trump. He has no governing experience. He's just the CEO, so he thinks it's a one-man show.
What do you mean, Trump has no governing experience? The guy was president for 4 years.
And I'm saying prior to him being president.
Okay, look, I'm up against it. Let's agree to disagree. Okay, Grace texted me and she's insisting that I have to read this point on air, Jeff. So she says I was unfair to her. She says I cut her off when she was making the point about Trump lacking governing experience. She says, well, you cut me off. You didn't let me finish my sentence. What she meant to say, or what she was going to say, is that prior to being elected in 2016, Trump had no governing experience. He was a CEO, he was a businessman. So when he was president, in terms of management, personnel, appointments, he made mistakes. And she believes one of the things that DeSantis brings to the table, because he's been a governor of a major state and a successful governor, that his personnel decisions, his appointments, will be much better than Trump's. Fair point. My counter argument, Trump's been there, done that. Believe me, after 4 years in the White House, now he knows who to trust and who not to trust. And unlike DeSantis, he knows where the bodies are buried. Why? Because he's battled the deep state day after day after day. So Trump knows how to counter and beat the deep state. He's been fighting them now for, 7 years nonstop. Trench warfare. But again, that's my opinion. You may agree to disagree. 617-266-6868 is the number. Steve in Braintree. Thanks for holding, Steve, and welcome.
Oh, buddy, good morning. Good
Hi,
Lord. The DeSimpuses are out, huh? God almighty. DeSantis' name has been in the polling. His name has been in there. So he's not entering the race. He's been in the race, and he's still under 20%. And this whole crowding of the field does nothing more than pull 1, 2 to 3% away from DeSantis. So there's no way he can catch Trump at this point. It's utterly just ridiculous. And no matter what the establishment does, they're not going to have enough people to counter the populists in the states that matter. I mean, if you look at the polling, he may not even win Florida's primary, DeSantis, and that's his home state. The MAGA movement is what it is. It's populism. It's very popular. It's what's going to carry the GOP, and the more they fight it, the establishment. And by the way, Ron DeSantis is an establishment candidate. Look at his voting record in Congress. He was a congressman. Go back and look at what happened when he became a JAG officer. 27-year-old brand new Harvard lawyer gets sent to where, Jeffrey? Do you know where he was sent?
Was it Guantanamo?
It was Guantanamo Bay, deep state adjacent. They were grooming this guy from the beginning. Who's involved in his campaign? Loser Ed Rollins, Reaganite, Bushite. Chris Christie isn't launching the campaign. Chris Christie is going to be on the DeSantis team. Every single person is on his side. It's the GOP establishment. Let's take a look at Dr. Oz, which I like to call, the poor man's Mitt Romney, and Ron DeSantis is the poorer man's Mitt Romney. He did fine in the suburbs of Pennsylvania, in Philly, Harrisburg, and Pittsburgh. And guess what? He didn't turn out the vote like Trump does in the red sections of Pennsylvania. That's what you need. Donald Trump turns him out, and he does just well enough. Slightly less than Romney, but more than Dr. Oz. He carried the suburban vote. You need to look at the maps and the color changes and the demographic numbers. None of these people know what the heck they're talking about, Jeffrey.
Steve, before I let you go, I've got to ask you, what do you say to the argument that Trump is facing indictments? He's going to have to stand trial for Alvin Bragg over the hush payment to Stormy Daniels, that in the end, they're going to put him behind bars or they're going to bury him under indictment after indictment, trial after trial, and that will taint and dirty him enough to enable the Democrats to win, or they'll just remove him by putting him behind bars. What say you?
Okay, one, it's just not going to happen. This is designed to be 1,000 little cuts. By March, when he's on trial, he's going to have enough votes that it's not going to matter. Second, his people don't care. His people are still going to show up for the primaries. This isn't keeping. Did the E. Jean Carroll defamation win do anything except show that New York was kangaroo courts? Did it affect his poll numbers? Nope. Did the indictment by Alvin Bragg do anything except boost his poll numbers? Nope. Did the CNN town hall, which they brought that nonsense up, do anything but steady his poll numbers or increase them? Nope. So what do you think is going to happen? They don't understand that people have lost faith in the DOJ, and they don't care anymore. This looks like retribution, and if you put him behind bars, he'll win in a landslide. First of all, I don't even know how you would do that. This nonsense indictment coming from Jack Smith. It's craziness.
Steve, my vote right now, caller of the week. I have no influence. I have no pull. But you want my vote? Caller of the week. Okay, many of you are texting the Kuhner man. Jeff, are you sleeping on the couch tonight? No, I'm telling you, this is dinner at the Kuhner household. The only thing missing is Ashton and Ava chiming in. And by the way, Ashton, like his old man, is a Trump man. I just want you to know, Ashton, he went back and forth. Mommy's for DeSantis, Daddy's for Trump. And then he fist bumped at me and said, no, Daddy, because Grace was going on about, well, DeSantis has been great for Florida. And I said, yeah, and Trump has been great for America. And then Ashton said, Daddy, and he fist bumped me, I'm backing Trump. Ava is just being neutral right now. She's still on the fence. So, but don't worry, I'm going to take her for ice cream this weekend. I know exactly her flavors. By this weekend, she'll be in the Trump camp as well. 617-266-6868 is the number. Susie in Waltham. Thanks for holding, Susie, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Susie.
I have to say, I love Dr. Grace. She is amazing. So I wanted to defend Ron DeSantis.
Go ahead.
First and foremost, he is, yes, he may be an attorney, but he is a military man. And he, above all, would appreciate that war is not the answer. War is not the answer. He also has, the Constitution first and foremost on his agenda. He is an American through and through. And people need to understand, he's not going to, he's had military training. He has military background. He's not going to give up all of his cards. He's just not going to show all of his cards. He's not going to do it. He's going to keep some held back because that's the strategy. You need strategy.
Oh, I agree.
This is how
Susie, you're dead on. No, really, I completely agree. I'm just curious. Why are you backing DeSantis over Trump? Essentially, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are you saying you just think he's shrewder, savvier, a little bit more cunning, a little bit smarter than Trump? In other words, he can outmaneuver the Democrats and the deep state in a way that just Trump can't? Is that your ultimate point?
Okay, I agree with that. I also feel that he is definitely he's more refined. He has the elegance that he needs to be in the president's office. He has the understanding that you have to be an intellect. You have to be educated. You have to understand what your enemy is. You have to be able to combat your enemy, and you have to be able to win against your enemy. And don't get me wrong, I love Trump. I voted for Trump. I voted for him both times. I just feel that at this stage of the game, honest to God, we need to get somebody in there that isn't going to have the baggage or the fabricated baggage. See, that's another thing, too, with Trump. A lot of this is fabricated. You're bringing up stories from 30 years ago from abroad that can't remember if it was in 94, 95, 96, or you're bringing up stories from a has-been porn star, whatever she was. I don't care. You know what? Reality is President Trump didn't have the forethought to run for presidency until he was coming up into 2014, 2015, after he had been around the block, let's say, okay? Which is, we all have things in our past. Let's overlook that. We need to look at what Trump did for us. Our economy was flaming. It was the best it's been in decades. We had the inflation was under control. We had secure borders. We could walk in our streets and not have to conceal carry. And yes, I live in communist Massachusetts, and I do conceal carry. And I'm a proud conceal carry carrier. And
God bless you. No, Susie, so your point is just this, that Trump was a very successful president, but whether we like it or not, the media, the Democrats, the deep state, his enemies, you're saying they did taint him. A lot of it was garbage, obviously, but they did taint him. And so now he's got baggage. DeSantis doesn't have that baggage. And so, Susie, let me ask you this. I think correct me if I'm wrong, are you saying that DeSantis is just more presidential? That he has a certain polish to him, he has a certain way that he speaks, that he comes across as a little bit more statesmanlike, and in this way he appeals to more people than Trump? Is that what you're saying?
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. And, we need to stop bickering between each other. We need to stand together. We need to hold this line. We the people need to stand up and say, enough is enough. You've had other people earlier this morning saying, there are more of us than there are of them. That is accurate. It's correct. We need to understand communism is not the answer. And I swear to God, my parents, my father was born in Hungary. My grandparents on both sides were either born in Austria or Germany. And let me tell you, communism is not pleasant, people. Communism is abhorrent. Do not listen to the mainstream media. They are pumping an agenda. This country isn't accustomed to communism, but let me tell you, I have been raised from ancestors from my immediate family that were suppressed by communism. It's not pleasant, people. It's
amen.
Not. We need to defend the Constitution.
Oh, they're coming for us. No question. Susie, thank you very, very much for that call. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm hoping. I've got my fingers crossed that this battle between Trump and DeSantis doesn't lead to a Republican bloodbath. I hope it doesn't lead to a Republican civil war. I hope whatever it is, that, it's fine. It's a primary. People want to beat each other. Look, Trump wants to get the nomination. He wants to be president again. DeSantis believes he's the new kid on the block. He wants to win the nomination and become president. Fine. We can have a good, strong, vigorous debate. To me, that's what a primary is about, what a democracy and a free society is about. But I hope we don't start turning on each other. Because if the DeSantis and Trump voters start going at each other's throats, we're done. Because it was Mags in New Hampshire who said that. There are more of us than there are of them. And so a civil war right now between Trump and DeSantis would finish us. It just would. So let's have a nice, vigorous debate. Whoever wins, we back the winner, and then we focus on the Democrats. Susie, thank you very, very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Agree, disagree. Nick in Weymouth. Thanks for holding, Nick, and welcome.
Hey, how you doing, Jeff?
Good.
By the way, a blessed Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you. Thank you. Same to you, Nick.
Especially all Marine Corps brothers and sisters. Now, on the side of the Republicans, I don't think there's anyone that wants to fix the country, if you will, right? Except for Trump, I assume, and I assume for DeSantis. And if that's true of him, then he better be bringing that out on the campaign trail. I haven't heard a lot of that. I've seen what he's done in Florida. I like what he's done in Florida. He's the best governor in the United States by far. No one even close. So what I'm saying is, he comes out with that, maybe I would probably vote for him. But what I don't like is, I'd rather see 4 of Trump, 8 of DeSantis, and then bring him on more people like them. Because it's going to take many times, many years to fix up this mess. Agencies have to go, EPA, Homeland Security, all that crap that was thrown on us because of 9/11 by the Bushes, etc. That stuff has to go. We have plenty of agencies, existing agencies, that are supposed to do these jobs. That's what I'm worried about. We need a long time to do this. People need to understand this has to be expressed by every Republican running, by Trump and DeSantis. When we have catastrophes, maybe coming financially, right? The only people that don't lose those jobs are the people in those agencies.
Bingo. Nick, you're dead on. 6868 is the number. Maureen in Wakefield. Thanks for holding, Maureen, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Maureen.
I just wanted to say that I'm a suburban college woman. I have 2 daughters who are also college women, and we're all supporting Trump. And I totally disagree with Grace on this and other, supposed statistics that say suburban women aren't going to vote for Trump. I'm 100% behind him. I'm even more behind him than ever, and I always have been, because of all the travails that he's experienced and everything they're putting him through. I like DeSantis. I think he's a good governor. However, I don't think he's ready. I don't think he has the experience on the world stage that Trump has. Trump has a track record. He was a fabulous president. He's not weak. He will fight these people every step of the way. I seriously don't know how he, keeps going, but I love the guy, and I had lots of Trump posters up at my house, and I live in a very woke town, and 90% of the people that would walk by the house or talk to me would give me a thumbs up. I live on a main street. I got nobody dissenting. Everybody, and some of them are afraid to say so. But there's a lot of Trump support out there, and I'm 100% behind him, and I think that DeSantis is basically stabbing him in the back by running. Why can't he wait until 2028? That's when he might be ready to run for president. I don't think he is now.
Maureen, I'm just curious. Why do you think DeSantis is stabbing him in the back, but say Nikki, I'm just giving just an example, Nikki Haley isn't, or Tim Scott isn't, or Chris Christie, or all these other candidates? Why do you think it's DeSantis and not the others?
I think it's sort of a personal thing with, where Trump did reach out personally and help DeSantis. I forget exactly how old DeSantis is, but he's not even 50 yet.
No, he's 44.
And,
44.
44. He's just barely old enough to run for president.
Yeah, he's a very young man.
What's the rush? I mean, the other people don't even. I mean, they're not even in the picture for me. None of them have the charisma or the. They're just not going to make it. The others are just not going to make it. And I think DeSantis, I definitely would support him for vice president, but president, no, not yet. I want Trump. I want nobody else but Trump. And that's who I'm sticking with. And if DeSantis happens to get the nomination, I'm not even sure I would vote for him because that's how strongly I feel.
Wow,
so,
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm just, there's something about him. I mean, I know he's a great governor. I love everything that he's done for Florida. I just love it. But there's something about him that just makes me very nervous. And I heard the talk this morning about his, maybe being a rhino. And I think there just may be some truth to that. I really don't know, but I'm going to start noticing more. But that does make me very, very nervous. The last thing we need is a rhino in the presidency.
Maureen, thank you very much for your call. So, Maureen, is Trump or bust? She's not even sure she'll vote for, should DeSantis somehow win the nomination. It's a long shot. If you look at the poll numbers right now, Trump is up almost 40 points over DeSantis. So there's a lot of ground to make up. But she's not even sure she would back DeSantis should he win the nomination. Interesting. Okay, thank you for that call, Maureen. Alan in Maine. Thanks for holding, Alan, and welcome.
Jeff. Hi, Jeff. Thank you so much for taking my call.
My pleasure, Alan.
I have the same feeling. I talk to a lot of people during the day, and I talk to a lot of people in the Christian community, and they all have that feeling in their gut, like she just said. I mean, I don't know if she's a Christian or not, but they've all got this feeling in their gut. And I always say, always go with your first instincts, and they all think the same thing of him. There's almost a Trojan horse. I mean, for us in the Christian community, Trump came out, and when he moved the capital of Jerusalem, the capital of Israel to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv, that was huge. That was gigantic. I mean, to say that this man, everything he has done has been undone, that's not true. This man, when he changed that made all of us just go, wow, because in the future, we all know that is the capital of heaven. And another thing is the judges that he gave us. I mean, we've had massive
and the
changes
Supreme Court. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Alan, but just to reinforce your point, I mean, it was Gorsuch, it was Kavanaugh, it was all three of his picks, all three of them, that overturned Roe v. Wade. So, I mean, to me, that's the most permanent thing. I mean, from any kind of a social conservative point of view, I mean, man, Trump delivered. I mean, seriously, Alan, did you ever think in your lifetime that Roe v. Wade would be overturned? Ever? Well, he gave us Amy Coney Barrett, whatever you think of her, Kavanaugh, whatever you think of him, and Gorsuch. But those three on Roe, they delivered big. I mean, if that's not historical, if that's not something that's really consequential, I don't know what is.
People think, maybe we shouldn't have done it the wrong timing of it. I mean, come on. Give me a break. I mean, look how many lives have been saved since then. I hear Grace. I mean, I know everybody's looking for Superman, but we're looking in the wrong spot. We got to start looking up. I mean, I picked Trump because Trump is a fighter. When I'm looking for a fighter right now, because this media is disgusting. They're the ones picking the fight. Donald Trump, I wasn't for him. I was for Ted Cruz, but he won me over with my heart. I mean, just like David taking on Goliath, David's the one that made Jerusalem the capital of Israel. That's not just far-fetched. That's a coincidence. I mean, come on. I mean, say what you want about Trump, but geez, the man, he doesn't have to do this. He could go retire on some island. And like that woman said, I think, not just stabbing in the back, but these Republicans, all of us, they're afraid of us. It's we the people. These people work for us. If we all stood up and said, I'm not going to work tomorrow, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go down to my state capital and I'm going to make a demand. Hey, you start following the rules. All these people coming over the border, this and that. I mean, we can make a change. It's this media. It's this outlook that you can't do anything. You can't get it done. Yes, we can. We can. And Trump showed us he was a fighter. And look at Putin. Look at China. They're laughing. They're laughing. We're such a strong country when we come together, Jeff. It's remarkable.
Well, we saw it under Trump. I mean, really, I think that's his, pardon the pun, but that's his Trump card. I can do it again. He is a warrior. I gotta go. Bye-bye.